And what do you do, George Small?
Well, it's a question of what you want, really, isn't it? I make it all.
I want your backstory.
I guess it all started for me when I went boarding to Wellbrook, of course. I was aged 8. We had a tuck shop in school, lots of sweets for the kids, all the classics, bullseyes, jawbreakers. The man who ran the tuck shop was from a family of tenant farmers on my great-great-grandfather's land. So I thought to myself, well, all I have to do is threaten to evict his family and he'll give me everything for free. And he did. We like to say in the small family, there are no small ideas in the small family, only great ideas. And my idea was to take the sweets I got for free and then sell them at half the price he was selling them.
And that transpired with your thinking in regards to getting into the counterfeit business.
Exactly, yeah. That was really the seed. When I look back and think about where it came from, it was all margin, no overhead, and that's a business model. That's actually a business model we teach at my business school. Well, really my great-grandfather's business school, named after him, also George Small. And yeah, for counterfeiting, it's basically the same thing. I take goods that people want, I make them more cheap, and then I sell them. And a colour for every day of the week. No, genuine, actually, 100%. I mean, I manufacture these myself. George Small, sorry.
You graduated with a degree in business and finance. So why, out of all the things you could have chosen, why did you choose the counterfeit business?
For me, it just doesn't make sense for people to pay, let's take a typical example, €3,500 for an Apple VR headset when you could pay 2,000 and have a perfectly good headset for €2,000. And people deserve to spend that kind of money for those kind of products. I mean, so it's a service to the common man, effectively. Am I allowed to say that? Common man? Should I say poor?
Don't worry, we're going to cut that out.
Oh, well, yeah, I don't want you to make me cancelled after all.
Your marketing tactics for counterfeit products has led you to develop a cult following around your circles and for those who aspire to be counterfeit sellers. How do you feel about that reputation that you have?
Well, I mean, I would say well deserved. We produce high quality products. They're reasonably priced and very few accidents. Really, if you were to look back at least for ones that made the papers. So yeah, quite proud of my position, particularly starting with so little.
What kind of accidents?
You have signed an NDA.
Yeah, but I'm just looking to ask questions.
Yeah, I mean, to answer your question, insignificant accidents is what I would say.
Right. What kind of insignificant accidents?
The people involved would not be people you or I would have heard of.
It's around that time when the Great Recession of 2022 happened, and that causes counterfeit products to match up to the same level as the regular prices of the real products, which in turn has their prices hiked up even more. Obviously, the counterfeit business has been such a steep decline because of that recession. How do you feel about how the recession has affected you?
People still need handbags, people still need phones, they still need good watches, so the demand is still there. And what we've done essentially is to stick to our guns. We've said, well, this is the price you were buying it at, and we're going to sell it to you at that price. The fact that the so-called brand manufacturers have dropped their prices is really nothing of interest to me.
You're selling lower quality products for the price of €3,500.
But people know the small name at this point. They know what they're getting, and I feel really, not to blow my own trumpet, but people are invested in me, and that's what they want.
So what they want is those kinds of products.
Yeah, sure. I mean, if I was to reflect on how sales have been going, definitely marginally worse than they have been in the past, and there has been a certain amount of belt tightening, which my condition can be difficult, but my family are no strangers to hard times. There was a time in the 40s where all of our tenant farmers just got up and left, and we were left with no rents in the 40s for 5 or 6 years. You're looking at me a little puzzled. The 1840s, the potato famine.
And you call those hard times.
Oh yes, no rent for 5 to 6 years. I mean, eventually, people trickle back.
Any more hard times that I should know of, ones that are actually hard times?
Well, I mean, I wouldn't like to disillusion my fans in terms of what impact it may or may not have had on me in terms of our sales decline. So I just knuckle down and get on with it.
How do you feel about the controversies that you have caused right now?
I mean, I'd fall back on an old slogan, which is "I am not my brother's keeper," and frankly, what my family do is not my responsibility. I suppose I'm barely responsible for my own actions if I reflect on it at all. So yeah, I tend not to dwell on negativity. I find moving forward always the best way forward.
You don't dwell on what you and your family have caused?
I don't see a future in it.
I see. Right. Well, thank you, Mr. Small.
No, thank you.
Okay.
We're done?
Yeah, we're done.